Welcome to the new episode of All That Jazz. I'm your host, Matyash, and I have with me Alkistis Agio. I think I butchered that name, but okay. And
I can
she's
do that.
Alkistis, and she's a coach, a speaker, an author, Stoic CEO, and a person of many things. So, welcome to the podcast.
Hello, hello, my dear friends.
And so, I had a very interesting history with Alkistis because years ago on YouTube, when YouTube was very, very small in 2007, I already was following her videos, and I remember years ago she made me feel very good. She wrote me a comment. I looked it up the other day when we were talking, and it was 13 years ago, and you told me you are a powerful person that will influence many in your country. And that made me feel like, wow, what did I do to deserve this?
Prophecy. See, it's going to be a self-fulfilling prophecy.
We'll see, we'll see. But yeah, it was good. I don't know much about Stoicism and stuff, but I've heard it's good. So let's start with what the background that you have. You have a very interesting background that you're in. So it looks like you are in Greece. Well, you are in Greece, but you are in a very specific location.
Yes, yes, yes. This is about a virtual background of the Athenian Stoa, where Stoicism, or something very similar to this, where Stoicism began. It's a school of philosophy in Athens. Yeah, so I'm speaking to you from Greece.
Right. And so Stoicism is a very interesting philosophy, and it deals with. Is it like I always come back to sports because I love sports. There was a player called Kobe Bryant, and he used to
Mhm.
say that he tried to never get too high or too low. He was
Mhm.
always just on go, and he
A
was one of the
balance.
best players in the world. And is that part of Stoicism that you're not trying to be too up or too down?
Well, I would say it's part of, harmony and balance. Harmonia in Greek is a basic principle, if you like, of Greek philosophy.
Hmm.
It's what the Greeks aimed for. And so Stoicism, being a school of philosophy, represented that as well. Of course, keeping what temperance was one of the virtues, the four cardinal virtues. One is temperance,
Hmm.
that's moderation and just keeping the balance, as you say, not too high, not too low. Some call that equanimity, balance of the soul. This is something very Greek. It represents Greek philosophy, the harmony and balance, away from extremes.
Hmm.
Not too hot, not too cold. Yeah, it's representative of Greek philosophy, and of course, in Stoicism, we practice it. We try our best to practice it.
Right.
Uh,
As the first book you wrote that was about you can realize the dreams with the help of Greek philosophers. So I imagine the Stoicism is one of those philosophies, right?
Absolutely. That was a book way back, I think around 2007 it was published, or 6, I can't recall. My first book, How to Realize Your Dream with the Greek Philosophers. So that was a book with many quotations and a method, a beginning of a method that I had created and developed over the years. And of course, that was one of the principles that I taught. I said in that book that there's like 12 principles, 12 or 13 principles. And I likened it a little to building your temple. You have to have these
Mm,
12 principles in place. And it had its details. But now, over the years, I've developed the method and I've reduced it to 3 basic principles. So I've simplified the method. So I believe that, I'm trying to make philosophy easy, approachable, practical. Um, and Stoicism has influenced me because it's the most practical of Greek schools, the most
mm-hmm.
practical, the least abstract. Um, there's nothing wrong with abstracting and just philosophizing for philosophy's sake. It's kind of like pure and applied science. There's a space for pure science, just discovering and exploring, and there's
Yep.
a place for applied. So Stoicism is an applied science. It's an applied philosophy.
Right. So it's
Uh,
very practical.
Very practical, so much so that if you imagine the US Army trains its soldiers in Stoicism, for example. I mean, it's
Really?
that practical. Yes, because Stoicism essentially builds mental and emotional resilience. You know, the Romans first discovered this school in Athens, Greece, and they liked it so much. They had armies to take care of, they had very organized government, and
Right.
everyone was trained in this philosophy. For example, Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor, he was one of the main Stoic thinkers, philosophers. So imagine how practical it is. Even Marcus Aurelius, the head of the world at that point. He was like the president of the world, if you like.
Right.
So he was the emperor of Rome. He chose to be a Stoic. There's a reason. And not only did he choose to be a Stoic, he went on to create more Stoic writings, and we learn through his teachings, his meditations as a
Mm. And he's more popular. I mean, not more popular, but more well known than the Greek ones that invented Stoicism, is it not?
Yes, indeed. That's a very good point, and I intend to change that. The truth is that the Romans took it on. It was created in Greece by Zeno. Zeno was, I'll tell you the story. Zeno was a ship owner who lost all his ships here in outside the sea here in Greece.
Sorry.
And
I'm picking up some. I don't know if it's
static
traffic or.
here, no.
Okay, it's not there. Okay, cool.
So Zeno of Citium was a Greek ship owner
Yeah.
and merchant. Okay, he transported, imagine these vessels. Okay, and so at some point there was a big storm and he lost all his ships. So he arrives at the port of Piraeus here in Greece about 100 years after Socrates. 100 years after Socrates died. And he arrives at the port. He makes his way to Athens, penniless, and well, you're never poor enough to read a book. So he happened upon a bookstore, and generally people were teaching philosophy at that. He met the philosophers, and he discovered the teachings of Socrates.
Mm.
Okay, because everyone was after Socrates died. Everyone started making schools uh, in honor of Socratic teachings. He was a very popular guru, if you like. So Zeno discovered Socratic thinking, and he was a very intelligent man. He fell in love with this book, The Master, and he started teaching about Socrates. And slowly, because he was a good teacher, a charismatic teacher, he created many students and, started a school of Stoicism. So basically, the real teacher is Socrates.
Mm.
Everybody gets their source. The source is Socrates. But they elaborated, they made it even more practical. And when the Romans later invaded Greece, the Roman Empire, they spread the Roman
Right.
Empire, they discovered schools. They discovered various schools. And to them, the most popular, the most interesting was Stoicism. There's a reason for that. Think about the practical reason, mainly because it builds emotional resilience. It's a practice. It's like some people call it the Buddhism of the West.
Okay.
I I don't know if I agree because there are some basic differences, but there are some elements of Stoicism, especially the self-discipline and the self-leadership. uh, that is similar. You can say you can compare Buddhism and Stoicism.
Right. So say if you were to do if you were coaching somebody, let's say you were coaching me and you had to do one exercise, give me one exercise to do uh to be more stoic, for example, what would that be?
Well, I would, if you, I would, we would look, for example, at your main problem, your main issue, your main
Discipline,
issue.
let's say discipline.
That you lack discipline. You lack
Yes.
discipline.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, okay.
So we would, first of all, we would say, you know, Stoicism begins through disciplining your thought. Okay. Because thought is all over the place. So I would train you to discipline your thought. How do you do this? One of the first things that Stoics look at is what are the things I can change in my life and what are the things I can't change?
Okay.
What are the things? This is called the dichotomy of control. Like, for example, can you control the weather? No.
No.
You don't try to control the weather. You don't try to
Right.
control the uncontrollable. What can you control? You can control your thoughts, your actions, your emotions, and the way you see things.
Hmm.
The way you see things. And we would look at the way you're seeing things. For example, um, Epictetus, a great Stoic teacher, he would say that it's not things or events that upset people, it's the way you perceive events.
Hmm.
It's the way you're perceiving the event. So, say you're stressed up about something. The first thing to look at is how are you perceiving that event? Are you perceiving it as a threat? Probably, if you're afraid and anxious.
Right.
How are you? Why, so we would first start disciplining your thoughts. In what way? What does a philosopher do? A philosopher asks questions to himself.
Hmm.
You ask questions.
Right.
The main question being, is it true? Is the fear I have, is the anxiety that I have, is it true? So you use logic and reason. You kind of look at your thoughts objectively, detached, and you say, is this thought I'm having true? And like Socrates would say, okay, prove that it's true. Prove that it's true because we lie to ourselves. We have very limited beliefs about ourselves. And so it's the constant checking your thoughts and seeing whether what you're feeding yourself is true. It's all about overcoming self-deception.
Right, right. Stop lying to yourself. Stop lying to myself about what
Stop
I'm
lying
doing.
to myself. Exactly. Stop lying to yourself. Um, and this is it, the self leadership, the self control, the self bringing your attention to truth and
Yep.
using reason to look at your thoughts and say, maybe I'm dramatizing, or maybe I'm exaggerating. Maybe I'm taking things far too personally. You have to ask yourself. The philosopher asks himself or herself.
So it's
So,
very
like
introspective. Like you have to guard your
ex-
thoughts.
controlling, not so much control, because control is like suppressing.
Right.
It's more like have clarity of thoughts. Have clarity. Be clear with your thoughts. What am I thinking? What did I just think right now? Where did that come from? Is it true? Is that the whole picture? Is that really the whole picture? Maybe if I stand back, and the Stoics call it the view from above, look at your situation from above, get a more global picture, and then start having jumping to conclusions. You
Right.
don't generally. It's in my the way I see it is looking at my thoughts, reflecting on my thoughts, and scrutinizing my thoughts to especially where I'm lying to myself, where I'm being unclear.
Right. It reminds me a bit of there's a prayer called the Serenity Prayer, and it goes like
Absolutely.
God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference.
Exactly. This is exactly Stoicism. What can I change? And this prayer obviously derived from Stoic teachings, because the Christians, picked up many. The Romans, I said, but also the Christians picked up a lot of Stoic philosophy, a lot of Greek philosophy. One of them being that this dichotomy of control, as you said. What can I control? What can't I control? Let's look at what's in my hand. What is in my hands? My thinking. Firstly, first of
Hmm.
my thinking. Where is my thinking causing this problem? Um, so that's one of the disciplines. But there's other things like we have motos, motos, uh,
Motos.
motos. Yes, motos. Like, um, for example, we have a motto saying called "The obstacle is the way." The
Right.
obstacle is the way. So you take obstacles and they become in the Stoic it's like they should fuel your fire.
Mm.
The it's like bring it on.
Right.
You
This
take the fire, you go through the fire.
Right. This again reminds me of Kobe because he would use any criticism, Michael Jordan as well, and any criticism that was directed at him, he would use that and try to put up better performance because of that. He would use that as fuel. He would actually thrive on it.
Yes, not bitterness and resentment.
No,
It's a
no,
different.
no. He would
It's like,
play better.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly, I'll do it. Thank you for prompting me. Thank you for reminding me.
Right. Not only that, they would train harder as well. Like they would over like come to this obstacle like Jordan came to Detroit Pistons, so he couldn't beat them, and then he hired this trainer who was a bit insane, but he was the right person that he needed, and he trained really hard, and then he overcame. He went over that hump, and it was amazing. Um, so I've heard a lot about the Socratic method, and Socrates to me is an amazing man, not just for his philosophy, but the way he died, because he died for what he believed in, and he didn't. He could have fled. He could have fled away, because they threatened him. They gave him opportunities, but he said no, and he died for what he believed in. He died a hero.
Absolutely. In a way, it's like the Christ. I mean, who died on the cross for his beliefs. Okay, Socrates like the Greek Christ. Why? Because he said, I may disagree with the current laws, but if you want to change the laws, you have to go voting, you have to participate in government, so we have a civilization. We can't just all be anarchists and ignore the law. He goes,
Right.
you have to change the law, you have to bring about change through the system. You can't just, so he respected the system, he respected the laws, even if he disagreed with certain things. So it's his way of saying, this is civilization. Civilization means living together. And uh, you know, I'm not just going to ignore our civilization here just because. Uh, so he wasn't going to, as you say, sneak out in the night, although he had the opportunity to.
Right.
So, and yeah, he died for his beliefs. Greece was not exactly a democracy when Socrates was around. They had like an oligarchy, like a kind
Right.
of dictatorship with a few. It was after the Spartan War. The Spartan had won, and it was like a dictatorship almost of several people, not one, but several. The tyranny of the 30 tyrants. Anyway, difficult times, and Socrates was a troublemaker for them. Why? Because he provoked people to think, to commit thought crime, in other words. So he would just go up to people in the street and ask them questions. Ask them like, what is happiness for you? I don't know, maybe it's a car, maybe it's a house or a cart. I mean, the person would answer. And then Socrates would act like a lawyer almost, the way, because lawyers have learned from the Socratic method. They
Mm.
study the Socratic method. Um, so he would say, is that true? Like, haven't you noticed when you did move into a bigger house, did that really make you happier? And sometimes the answer would be, no, I have more problems, you know. Um, so he would basically help to disprove these people's thoughts and make them think, like, why do you want what you want? Is it really going to make you happier? Is it like, you would ask them important questions, prompting them,
Right.
and people would slowly awaken. It's like, you're right, I had very limiting beliefs before. It would like make people start dare to think out of their boxes, simply by questioning them and asking for proof. It's like, how are you sure about that? And if that's so, how are you sure that that's like that? And the person would just in the end realize that he's been living a lie. He's been living with, you know, not clear thoughts. So Socrates would help them to open their minds basically by asking them questions. Like, some maybe professor or teacher, when they ask you questions, and really put you on the spot.
Yeah.
Now, it's not always comfortable. Or like you said about that coach, he'll push you to your limit.
Right.
uh, Coaches of the basketball players, like that, like a coach in a way. So he would be opening the mind of the youth, and the dictators, these tyrants, they didn't like that about him. Uh,
Is there a
so
specific way that this looks like? Because I have to admit I have not read Plato
yes,
yet. Plato is the person that transcribed I think most of the Socrates thoughts.
right,
Right.
absolutely. Now, as a student of Socrates and seeing how Socrates died because he was sentenced to death, uh, this drove, Plato to be so depressed that his teacher was, you know, sentenced to death this way. And he said, I have to retain all the teachings of my teacher. I have to write them down so that they can be carried on. Otherwise, they will die with him and they will die with us. So he sat there and transcribed many of the dialogues. Imagine you had a favorite teacher or coach and he happened to pass away, he happened to die in some way.
Yeah.
You would sit there and you would say, this can't be lost. I have to sit here and write, and try to recreate the dialogues, the way Socrates did. So this is how we know about his method. This is what they are. Plato writes in dialogue.
Right.
Dialogue.
But it's amazing how much he. Do you think everything was verbatim that he? Because obviously there's a lot. You'd have to have
They
a fantastic memory.
You'd have to have, of course, he became creative. He made up stories. He created hypothetical symposiums.
Okay.
Like for example, the famous one, the symposium. Symposium just means drinking together. By the way, it means a
Right.
big dinner banquet. It's a big dinner banquet, but they had a one topic. They chose. Okay, we're going to speak about this at the dinner table. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So and they might stay for 3 days or 4 days to discuss one topic to reach the truth. They would have dialogue and debate so that finally the truth, because they wanted the truth, okay, because they were Socrates students. Socrates is all about getting to the truth,
Right.
okay, getting beyond the lies, okay, because you can't have civilization and justice if there are lies. See,
Yeah.
truth is the basis of justice.
That's right.
Okay.
That's right.
So that's why the Socratic method is, as I said, what the lawyers learn. What do lawyers learn in law school? They learn about the old cases, but they also learn a way to question people to get to the truth, correct?
Right. Right.
To
Oh,
get
they
people
try
to,
to. Not
they
all lawyers have a reputation that's good, though.
no, it can be misused. The system, this The system can be misused, and that's what we call sophistry, sophistication. The
Yeah.
sophist. The sophist is the person who, some lawyers are. They because they're so good at this method, they turn the truth. They get you to say things you didn't want to say.
Right.
So this is a misuse of the power. This is a misuse of the method. Unfortunately, that's human. Some humans have this for their own motives, but um, they will get. But this is the system. The system is to ask questions and ask for proof. Okay,
Hmm.
so you say you were there on that night. Where's the proof? Were you there or were you there? Until the person finally starts revealing the truth, goes beyond the lies to the truth. The goal is to get to the truth, your truth, by asking yourself questions, or your coach prompting you through questions.
Right.
So
And
it's all
sophistry would avoid telling the truth. They would skew the truth. And I think a lot of politicians nowadays are lawyers first, and then they become politicians.
absolutely because they learn the art of arguing and debating, but then they can misuse it. If you know how to do it, then you can misuse it. Okay. It's like martial arts, some people use it to beat people up,
Right.
it's not, it's like you can misuse it, but this, what happens though is, what does Socrates say? When you live a court like that, when you live with lies and manipulation, you will pay for that. You will pay for that. He goes, you will never find happiness and fulfillment. Okay.
Hmm.
The whole goal of all of this is happiness and fulfillment. That's the goal of philosophy, is what they call eudaimonia, eudaimonia. Eudaimonia means human flourishing, to flourish.
Right.
Okay. Bring out your best potential. And it goes, if you're living with lies, you cannot reach you will never flourish. Okay. You might
Hmm.
get ahead. He's not saying you might get ahead in life. You'll get maybe your Porsche, your BMW, but then what happens? According to Socrates, your soul cannot be happy. It's not that he's against money. If got in an honest way, fine. But if you're going to use lies in your life, it all backfires on you. And it's not only Socrates. This is, for example, the Greek tragedies. That's what they teach. That when
Hmm.
you have too much hubris, hubris is like too much ego, too much of this, it backfires on you. And this is the teachings of the tragedies, that when you go high up, but in a bad way, through manipulation, you will have your downfall. Take some examples of, I don't know, Epstein, or, what was that other producer from Hollywood there?
Harry Weinstein,
Harry
uh,
Weinstein.
Kevin
What a
Spacey, Kevin Spacey.
So it's like when you're hubris means extreme ego, extreme, uncontrollable, unmoderated sense of ego.
Right.
I mean, some ego is good, but if it gets out of hand and you think you're a god, you will come tumbling down
Right.
in one way or another, through alcoholism, through drugs, through disgrace. You will have, you will never sleep well. This is what Socrates is saying. Why it's so important to keep clearing the BS. Keep
Right.
clearing thoughts. Keep your thoughts clear.
But it does seem like some people are able to so-called thrive on that, but maybe they're built different. But like you say, it never lasts long because they get like the Kevin Spaceys of the world that abuse people. They eventually get found out, and all the pedophiles or whatnot, and that are in high places, they might get away with it today, but they might not get away with it tomorrow, and that's the thing.
Exactly. And even if they're not caught, their soul is not at ease. Now, according to Socrates,
Mm.
the soul does not experience flourishing. which the Greeks and the Stoic philosophers, this is why they focus on what's called areti. Areti is virtue,
Mm. Virtue, right?
virtue. Uh, Not so much in the Christian sense of I'm, virtuous, but in the sense it's not it doesn't have to do with modesty, virtue. If virtue is like honor, okay, yeah, I think a better word for it is like it's honor, the man's honor, okay, the woman's honor, but
Right,
it's not it's not like the Christian sense of virtue in the sense that you're not doing it so that for others. You're not, it's not an altruistic reason. It's actually an egotistical reason. It's a self preservation reason. So I am virtuous for me, not
okay,
for, not to pretend to be like a good citizen. If, for example, if I find a wallet on the street, I must see and who is the owner of this wallet. Now, I'm not doing that for the other person in the Christian sense. I'm doing it for me. I'm doing it to feel good for me, to feel good about me. Okay, it's
right,
my to myself. That's why they to your own self be true. Shakespeare picked up this line: "To thy own self be true." It's about being truthful to yourself. Why? For your own happiness. I'm returning this wallet to you so that I can be happy. I'm happy you're happy, but I'm not doing it so you can have a good opinion of me and do the right thing. I'm doing it for my happiness. You have to do the right thing whether or not anyone else is looking.
right. But wouldn't, from the Christian sense, also be for themselves? Because I can speak that because I'm Christian, that I wouldn't feel guilty. So it also it's for them, but it's for me as well. I don't want to
No,
feel bad.
that's the thing. Here we don't not dealing with Christian guilt. There's no
Right,
guilt here. That's what I'm saying. You're doing it for your own happiness, well-being, and peace. And I'll tell you something, that's the only real reason that ever will motivate you. Your own happiness is
right,
what motivates, you know. Even if you're like Mother Teresa, I believe Mother Teresa wasn't doing it for others. It made herself feel happy. Okay? Like Freud said, our main driving thing is our own self, actually, whether we admit it or not. So when I go to charity events and I help the poor, who am I doing it for, really? Who am I really making feel good? I'm making myself feel good.
well, that is a deep philosophical debate. Who are, because some people say you can't really be altruistic because it's always selfish.
Yeah,
Um, but
there's nothing. Okay, you're selfish. As long as you build the hospital for the orphan kids, everybody's happy. But let's not kid ourselves. You're doing it first for yourself. What a good person I am. I'm helping
right.
so many people. So
About Mother
that's
Teresa, I think she said that one of her biggest inspirations from the Bible was that whatever you did to the least of me, meaning to the poorest, you did it to me, meaning Jesus or God. So that was
yeah,
um,
yeah,
whether,
of course. But this made her feel good, you see. It's about feeling good yourself not in a selfish way, in a
mm,
healthy selfish way. And it's like I'm doing good. See, when I give, for example, a gift to someone, the other person will say thank you. And I say, well, thank you for accepting it. You make me feel good. You see, when you give a necklace to your girlfriend, okay, you give her a nice pearl necklace sometime, maybe if you're in love sometime. You'll say,
sure,
I'm going to give you this. Who is that? Who did her lighting up and being happy? Who gets the benefit later on? Yeah. Now, who feels good?
well, I see
You
what you
feel
mean.
good.
I see what you mean.
It's
Okay,
about yourself. It's about yourself in a healthy way. I mean that in a healthy way. Do good for yourself so you can be happy. You can be okay with yourself and
okay,
feel good about yourself. Because that's the only, if you're honest with yourself, that's who you're doing it for in the first place.
right.
If you're
Um,
really honest with yourself, you're
right.
doing it. I'm a good boyfriend. I'm a good guy. I'm giving her this whatever. I'm helping her out with her computer. Who are you doing it for? For her? Yes, it's for her, but ultimately it's for yourself.
But also you increase your virtue as well. There's a quote by a philosopher named Eric Hoffer. It says, "You are made kind by being kind." So it implies that as you more do something, that you become more of that, right? Would
Absolutely.
Socrates agree?
Absolutely. Your kind actions bring out more of your kindness. You create a cycle of goodness. You create
Right.
a cycle of love, because all of this is motivated by love.
Yeah.
And uh you know this is it. Love and happiness, this is what we've all ever wanted in ancient times, in modern times. All we want is peace and happiness, right? And these different schools found ways to reach that. The Stoics said that you need those four virtues. You need to practice moderation, temperance and moderation. You need to practice justice with your friends, with your family, with your society. Justice and truth. I mean, that's the second virtue. The third is courage, and
Hmm.
to practice to be courageous, to stand up for what you believe in, for example, to speak up, to fight for whatever you want to fight for. You have to be courageous. Start a new business. This is courage.
Hmm.
um, and the fourth virtue is practical wisdom. Okay, like practice practical wisdom. So these four virtues the Christians adopted. Okay, the four cardinal virtues they're called, and the early Christians adopted these four virtues. Much of Greek philosophy was taken in. You see, the, the difference is that in Christianity there is Christ. Okay, the Greek philosophers never had prophets. Okay, philosophy is not about the chosen one. Greek philosophy is that says that everyone is the chosen one. Everyone is the chosen one. You in the sense that there's no one better prophet than other people. Philosophy is not about dogma. Like take these 10 commandments, and it's not dogma. It's self-questioning. It says you and I have the power. We have the power. We don't need a bigger force, a higher
Right. Right.
force.
How
If there
about
is a force, if there is a God, that God could maybe created the universe, but he doesn't sit and answer your specific prayers. You have to save yourself. You have to save yourself through temperance, all these four virtues that I said, through courage. No one's going to save you. Grow up. There's no fairy godmother. Uh, you have to clear your shit. You have to take action. You have to be courageous. It's all up to you, your salvation. And there's no heaven and hell either with Greek philosophy. There's this life.
right?
Greeks were realist. Greek philosophy is all about being a realist. It's all about here and now on this earth. Um,
What about
could go
I'm
on and
curious about Socrates. You said that everybody is the same, but it does seem that Socrates was because he achieved that level that he was in
yeah, but he
that
never said, you know what, guys, I'm the chosen one. He didn't say,
oh,
I'm the
of
son of
course.
God. I'm the son of Zeus. Never. And even Stoicism is not named after any teacher. It's not like Buddhism named after Buddha. Okay. Stoicism means this stoa where you see me sitting in.
Mm-hmm.
It's the place where they met. They didn't have a guru. They had
Right.
some wise teachers, but they never venerated prophets and gurus. It's all about being human. It's humanitarianism, realism, and humanitarianism.
So what is your personal belief
Humanism,
system?
not humanitarian, humanism.
Okay,
Sorry,
so what is your, I'm curious, what is your personal belief system? You explained the Greek philosophy view of heaven, hell, and the afterlife in general and virtue. Well, what is your own belief system about this? I'm just curious.
I'll tell you what I believe doesn't really matter, but
Okay.
I'll give you a little short thing. No, it's what I was saying. I mean, I believe in what this path. Otherwise, I wouldn't be, talking about it. I believe in this path of self-questioning, self-leadership, working, living, trying to live a virtuous life, practicing virtue.
Mm-hmm.
And if you live in this way, for example, you set the right goals for yourself without kidding yourself, not being over ambitious, but not being too under ambitious, being just realist.
Right.
You can achieve your goals. You don't need, okay, there's luck plays a measure, but if you're well prepared, you can create your future. You can achieve your goals. Um, so, in other words, I'm not expecting uh, someone to save me. I have the reins of my life are in my hands. I take charge. I try not to lie to myself, try
Mm.
not to deceive myself. So if you stop lying to yourself, then life becomes simple. Your goals are clear. You're not confused. You don't have time management issues. You know what you stand for. You know what your values are, and you have self leadership. So people follow you. If you have self, how can you lead others if you can't lead yourself? Okay. So if
Right.
I want, so first I work on my own garbage, clear my stuff, and that's all I need to work on. If each person worked on their own stuff, tried to live with virtue, tried to live with in truth, I think life just becomes simplified and there's a lot less drama in one's life. And as I said, there may be this creation being, if you like, the being, the logos, as the Greeks call it, the logos, the original, high intelligence consciousness. But it's not going to sit and answer my prayers. If I want a house by the sea, for example, I have to chase that dream. God is not
Right.
going to answer my prayers
Totally.
on
I
that.
agreed. Yeah.
But
Um.
I do believe in the power of thought. Okay. If you
Mm-hmm.
think, if you're focused and clear and you're taking action, um, you don't need metaphysics. This is what I'm trying to say. You don't actually need metaphysics is nice. It's a nice feeling, but I think you don't need the metaphysical element. You can take care of your own stuff. You're a grown person. You're a mature human being. You can make stuff happen without the magic. You don't need them. I mean,
I
magic is nice, but life is magical already. It's like taking
agree.
sauce and adding more sauce. Taste what the salad tastes like. In nature, I mean, life is a miracle anyway. You don't have to put glitter on it.
I think a lot of my guests on my podcast would we talk about things that are a bit out there. I'm just putting that out there. But
I
I'm
respect everyone's opinion to things and whatever works for you, whatever works.
mm,
Um, I'm
I
not,
like to have different points of view on. I was curious because this is a very specific path, coaching. So how did you decide and how did you know that this is for me? Because coaching is a very specific thing, and I would think you have to really know yourself to go into coaching, right?
well, I have to know myself. Yes, of course you have to know you, but you know what? This is a lifelong journey. The thing with coaching is you just need to know more than the person you're coaching. It doesn't mean you need to know it all.
Right.
And I don't know. As a coach, I use the Socratic method. I ask questions. And why do you think that? And how come you're taking that decision? And why are these your two choices? And do you have other choices? Are there choices you haven't thought of?
Hmm.
I give my clients space to think for themselves. I just prod them with questions like Socrates. I ask them questions that help them arrive and reveal the truth, their truth. I don't teach, I'm not preachy. Listen, I chose the role because you asked me, how did I get into coaching?
Yes.
Well, I tell you, the best way to learn something is to teach it. The best
Mm,
way to learn, for example, geometry is to teach geometry,
right.
because anything you want to learn, if you imagine that you're going to teach it, or you actually do teach it to some people who are, I don't know, people who know less than you, um, it helps you to consolidate your thinking. So, for example, when I wanted to learn NLP, neuro linguistic programming, or hypnosis,
Right.
okay, I read the books, I went to the seminars. It doesn't mean I was a good hypnotist. When I started teaching hypnosis, teaching self hypnosis, for example, something happens to your brain. You become a lot more conscious. You become a lot more, it awakens you. So basically, whatever you want to master, you should be teaching. And this is something I've learned from others. And it's true. It's absolutely true. It just turns on a different level when you say, oh my God, I'm going to have to teach this. So you start taking stuff apart. You start dissecting it because someone's going to ask you questions. And so it helps really prompt your mind and experience on a much deeper level than just listening to something.
Right. I, I think for studying, that's the best way to learn something is to try to teach somebody else, and then
Someone who
um,
knows less than you, someone who knows less than you and is open to learning. That's why it's always good to volunteer. I was volunteering my coaching in the beginning. I was volunteering to coach people who wouldn't, not for payment, for example. And that's how I learned the coaching process. I had to practice, in other words. Teaching is for practice.
okay.
So, uh, yeah, I was always fascinated though with personal development, reaching one's full potential. Because again, Socrates, why an unmeditated life is not worth living. I understood this very early in my life, like 16, 17. I thought, an unmeditated, what? You're just going to go through life without being conscious of this thing?
Uh,
So
uh, Other translations say unexamined life is not worth living. Is that him as well?
it's the same. It's
Okay, it's the
Socrates.
same.
It's like, examine, what are you doing? Why are you in the relationship you're in? Why did you choose this? Why did you choose this profession? Why are you, what's the point of you interviewing? You know,
What if I say I don't know why I chose that program or why I applied there? It seemed like a good idea at the time.
that's okay if you have time to waste. You're young. You're young. You think time, just go on, you can explore, and it's good. Explore here, explore there. But
Yeah.
eh, you know why you're here. You're saying, I am consciously exploring some of the things that interest me. That's why I'm doing this. I don't know if I want to do this forever, but you're at the stage in your life right now. You're experimenting with different, like I was a journalist. I was teaching yoga earlier on. I was teaching English, and I was experimenting with these professions, for example, and so it was a conscious, the thing is to do it consciously. I am consciously experimenting with these professions. That's why I'm here. So the thing is to know why your why,
Yeah.
your why, you know, ask yourself, why am I here? Why am I going to take this girl out to dinner? Why am I with time? If you value your time on this earth, which is very specific and very limited, you don't waste your time with, you have choices all the time. There's choices. Go to that party. You could have been at a party tonight. You could have been at a bar tonight. You could have
Right.
been exercising in the gym. you're prioritizing it. Why though? You have to know your why, your values. What do you value? So
So it
this
seems like the first is valuing yourself, right? Valuing yourself, and then you're gonna value your time, right?
absolutely. You value yourself, you value your time because you know what? Unlike money, if you gave me $100, if you give your friend $100, you can get that money again. Your time, this moment right now, you can never get again. And that's what a basic Stoic exercise is called memento mori. Memento mori is Latin for remember your mortality, remember your death. And the Stoics, we reflect on our death every day. This is a meditation. I reflect on my death. You'll see many philosophers like Victor Hugo, they have a skull or a sculpture of a skull on their table. You know that it's to remind you that your time is limited. Don't waste it. So that's one Stoic exercise. Back to the Stoic exercises, we did a full circle.
Right.
Memento mori. We mentioned the obstacle is the way. Use the fire. Use the obstacles. And another one is amor fati. Amor fati, and that again is Latin. They took all the Greek logos, mottos, and they made them Latinized.
Right.
Anyway, amor fati means, well, that's the obstacle is the way. So amor fati is love what's happening, embrace what is happening.
Mm,
It's the obstacle is the way type thing. It's like love the obstacle, you
right.
know.
I have and I have another. I don't know why I keep coming with Kobe Bryant stories, because by the way, he died last year and he was only
Yes,
41. So
yes.
Kobe Bryant one time at an All Star game when you don't really play much defense, but he got his nose broken by Dwayne Wade, and
Mhm.
Dwayne Wade later. A day or so later, he called him to apologize, and he said, "Sorry, sorry, Kobe." And Kobe Bryant says, "Don't worry, I love it. I love it." And then he had a mask on for the next 2 weeks, and when the next played, Kobe Bryant destroyed them. so he used that. He used that as a fuel, even though all the physical ailments he got from other players, if it was intentional or something like that, he would use it, but he didn't care. He would just use it as a fuel to get back, and he didn't mind, which I thought was just remarkable.
It's amor fati. Love what's happening. Love it because a lot of the times you think that something is bad and it turns out to be quite a blessing.
Mm,
First of all, it can make you stronger, but bad things also help clarify. Like, for example, if your girlfriend sleeps with someone else, this might actually bring you closer together. It might actually build your relationship. It could. It depends how you play it, how you
right.
see it, how you play it. There's an inner process to see, is this a reason to leave her or is this a reason to work closer, to be closer together? So everything bad, uh, you know, it's how you're going to, again, the Stoic thing. It's not what happens, but how you perceive what's happening that's upsetting you. It's the way you're perceiving the event. So if you can just make that switch, and anything that's bad, that looks bad, should be a trigger for you, a switch to say, great, this is a blessing.
Right.
Not knowing why, but just say, that's a blessing. It's a blessing. It's a blessing. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is yet, but it's a blessing. Um, so this is the way to work with it.
So everything can be worked towards good, like as something bad happens to you and you're like, well, this can build my character, like my
Or maybe
house.
there's something that better will come out of it. Maybe there's a car accident. You meet the girl, who's in the other car, and you meet the woman of your life because she crashed your car. You don't know what's going to happen. This might be you coming with your destiny, face to face. So just embrace it. Say that's good. It's like, what are you going to do with all that manure? What are you going to do with all that dirt? You're going to plant vegetables, and the vegetables are going to be really great from what are you going to do with that shit, excuse me, in your life?
Right.
You're gonna make it compost. It's gonna be manure, and you're gonna make tomatoes. You're gonna make vegetables, flowers, all that, all anything negative.
All that
Look at this,
jazz.
all that jazz, Matthias.
um,
It's gonna
okay,
be beautiful.
I want to ask you about because I had a last year I was working in a restaurant and I had a Greek coworker and he'd
Uh-huh.
always make fun of something Greek. So I just wanted to ask your
Good.
opinion on this, 'cause I think I know what you're gonna say, but okay. So my coworker was always bringing up the bad eye. Oh, my
Oh,
sister said,
evil
"Oh,
eye.
evil eye."
The
Yeah,
evil,
yeah. He was always
evil.
bringing that up. So can you explain to the audience? Because I think a lot of people don't know what the evil eye is and if you believe in it.
Look, that's okay. That's obviously not stoic.
Right.
Um, Look, this is an ancient thing. The ancient Egyptians had it. The evil eye. You know, as a Stoic, I'm non superstitious. I'm not superstitious. As a Stoic, I am not superstitious. If I want the evil eye to have an effect on me, what is it? I'll tell you what the evil eye is jealousy, resentment. It's if you become very successful, the first people to be envious of you is your immediate circle.
Ooh.
Yes, it hasn't happened to you. It will happen. It will
Obviously.
happen. It will happen to you because
Okay.
it's the comparing, the comparison. Like
Right.
he's gone to Hollywood, he's he just bought this. So they're happy for you, but there's also a hidden Schadenfreude, the Germans call it. Like we're happy for your downfall too.
Uh,
There's a lot of people, it's ambivalent. It's people themselves don't know because they never have thought about their thinking. They never say, why am I thinking that? Why did I just think that? They don't reflect on it. They don't say, is that true? So this is what I'm saying is that we are surrounded by people who may be a little envious of us. Okay. Especially when you're successful. So that's what happens is that that's the evil eye in my view is that it's a little the envy, that
mm,
may come back to you because you're success when something that's why when something good happens, people say, let's spit the evil eye, okay, let's ward off. Why? When something good happens, they usually say it, which is very bad for me. It's at the same time, I don't believe that's what I'm saying. I don't believe it's an external energy. I think it's just what happens is if you show off too much, if you're not modest with your success, um, and keep a low profile, keep a serious profile. If you just go showing off in people's faces, it's gonna come back to you. They're gonna a little
right.
backstabbing. You know what I mean? There will be a negative energy, but not for some magical reason, not
Right.
for some magical evil eye.
Okay.
I just think that you put out comes back to you. If you overdo it with the showing off, people build resentment. Now you can say people can be jealous anyway, even if I'm not showing off
Right.
majorly. But
When they
you
see you
don't want
successful, they will be jealous. You're saying some people always be jealous.
some people will be insecure about that. And that's the kind of people who
Yeah.
will try to sabotage you a little and talk a little bad about yourself. And that negativity will, but I think if you're aligned with your purpose and you're in your truth, it won't matter to you. You will not matter that much to you. You will understand human weakness. You understand. You say, okay, I would probably feel jealous too in his position. If you're
Right.
honest
Right.
with,
Yeah.
it's about compassion. It's about compassion.
Right. I want to. There's this a story that I've learned from. I don't know if you know who Jack Canfield is, but he's this.
Jack Canfield. Yeah, I know
Yeah.
Jack
The,
Canfield.
So there was this study that he found that there was this classroom, and so this is an example of actually the opposite of the evil eye, I guess, the good eye or whatever. So the
Possible
study
too, of course.
the study was that they sent the kids, the whole class, to do an IQ test,
Uh-huh.
and they told the
IQ
teachers,
test?
yeah,
IQ test?
IQ
Okay.
test or something, some kind of aptitude test to see how the
Yeah.
students are doing. It might not have been an IQ, so I'm not sure, but some kind of test to see how they're doing, how good the students they are. And
Uh-huh.
they came back and they told all the teachers these two students were the top, but actually they lied. They were the average two students. But what ended up happening is that those two students, towards the end of the year, they gravitated towards the top, but they
Mhm.
didn't treat him probably any different. They just thought that with a good eye that these two students are good, so the expectation maybe of them would
Expectation.
rise,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely, absolutely.
How do you
That's
explain that?
yeah, that is what for me a gifted, charismatic, and gifted teacher, coach, will do. The
Yeah,
coach, the gifted coach, the gifted teacher. This is the gift for me, and this is how I see people. And when I see people, and I try to tune into that. I'm like, let's see the good in this person, no matter what they're looking like or whatever. I'm like, I try to see the good, their potential, and I try to bring it out in them, in my coaching, in my life in general. When I meet young people, older people, I always try to see the best, that's like the diamond that's covered up, because we cover our beauty, we cover it, we there's a lot of stuff, baggage, that we cover the
right, right,
beauty. So the good teacher, the good coach, the good parent, the good boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife, that's the gift, to see through the, excuse me, shit, to see through that, and and pull that out. And when you start seeing that in in the person, they start feeling like that. And Dale Carnegie spoke about this, major, this is what the gifted teacher does. He will look at you and just see you in what the Greeks call flourishing. They will see your flourished state. So they will help you in seeing you in that light, in setting those good expectations, and believing in them more than they believe in themselves. Very often, you will bring out that best self. This is a way, this is the way, to see some would say the divinity in the other, the full potential. It doesn't matter how you label it. um, and it works. I do with my husband all the time. In other words, I bring out his best self. If he had married another woman, he would be a different person. I
mm,
bring out, and he brings out in me too, the best self, you know not taking bullshit, and saying, come on, who's the real you? I know who you really are. You don't believe that. You don't believe that lie. You don't believe that anxiety, that fear. Come on, you're strong. You're courageous. Who are we? You prep the other person up. You look, not lying. You're not flattering them, but you really look at them and say, come on, let's stop the all this drama.
right,
Let's not. You don't want to dramatize. I don't want to dramatize. So you clear the garbage away, see the beauty in the other person. And the other
that's it.
person, they feel it, they feel it.
Yeah, of
Now,
course.
are some people that damaged that they don't trust you? It's happened to me. Like, if I see the positive in the other person, they are so damaged that they think I'm lying to them because they're that damaged. That happens too sometimes. They don't believe as much as you believe in them, and you want to help them, and you want to do, they may not receive it. They're not ready. They're not ready to receive it. That can
Right.
happen.
About
Okay.
marriage, apparently Socrates said that marry a good wife, be happy, or marry a bad wife, become a philosopher. Apparently, he had a bad wife that would spill water on him and stuff. Is that true?
Yeah. Well, she was, yeah, she had difficulties with him because he would go off to the stoa and, hang out with the guys and talk the philosophy. And she's like, okay, where's the money? Bring home the money. We got kids here. We're, but he kept his marriage, and yeah, he used it for fuel for self. That's what I'm saying. He wasn't perfect. He had
Yeah.
his and never claimed to be. Actually, he would say, like, I'm nothing. I'm nothing. I know nothing. He was the first to say, one thing I know, the one thing I know for sure is that I know nothing.
Mm,
I can ask questions. I can ask questions. I can ask. I'm learning. I'm curious. Yes. But the more I discover, and this is science. I mean, the more we move into science, the more we realize how little we know. When you go into quantum, when you go into, the more we know, the more we realize we know very little.
right.
So this is the sign of wisdom, to say, actually, I'm just on the journey of discovery. I know that I need learning. I need more learning. And that doesn't end. A real philosopher, it doesn't end. And that's why the philosopher, the wise person, is always modest. It has a, not like, step on me type modesty. It's more like humble, not so much modest. It's, you stay humble,
Yeah.
stay humble,
And that's
stay
quite
humble,
something.
stay hungry, stay humble, just because you have a PhD, it doesn't mean it's just, how to learn, how to, this is the thing, never get too full of yourself. This is a loss of the balance. Remember the balance we were talking
Yeah.
about?
Yeah. Yeah.
Moderation. Okay. And this is very good because no matter how successful you are, the ups and the downs, life is just all ups. You have a fortune, then you lose the fortune. You have to be prepared for this very bumpy ride. Life is a roller coaster ride. Okay. Nothing stable about it. So
Yeah.
don't get too full of yourself,
Okay.
get too full of yourself because, you can lose it all in one day. And then if you've stayed humble, you'll have some friends left, who will help you out.
Right. It's quite a statement that the one of the most famous, if not the most famous philosopher that the world has ever seen has said, "I know nothing. I'm just asking questions." That's quite something. Yeah.
I know that I know nothing. Actually, I'm just starting. I'm a kid. I'm a baby here. There's so much, and he was right. Look what science discovered. Look what, and we keep going, and we just realized, oh my
Right.
God, what's after the black holes?
Right.
Who knows?
First it was flat Earth, and then it was round, and some people still now back say it's flat. Well,
See, that's it. We use the scientific method, which began in Greece. This is why we say that the Western civilization began in Greece.
Yes.
Greece was the first civilization to use this scientific method, like Socratic method. Where is the proof? Test your theory. I think the earth is flat. Okay, let's go see if it's flat. So
Exactly.
science, and science doesn't say it knows everything. Science, again, remains humble and says, we know that we're learning constantly. So
There we
this is the
go.
thing. Yeah, and people, I don't know, they're very easy to dismiss science, but science is the reason you and I right now are talking.
Yeah.
uh,
Zoom, computers,
Zoom.
internet,
In,
everything.
is that not magic? Are we not using magic, telekinesis, science is rockets to the moon, okay? And to launch the rocket to the moon, you have to be so precise. You cannot have one thing out of place. Otherwise, you're not going to reach the moon or Mars. This is the thing with science, everything is precise. It's not just BS. It's like, oh yeah, you
Right.
know, show me the proof. And
Sh-
this is This is the root of Western civilization, the scientific method. Show me the proof. Show me the truth. Show me, I mean, I don't say mysticism is not enticing, but you don't need mysticism. We can do so much. We are gods. We are gods. We have divine power of logic and reason. And this is what the animals don't have. Okay. So we're already magic. We don't have to add more onto that. You know what I mean?
The
We have
world,
power.
the world
We
is
have.
magic. The nature is magical as well.
As Leo Tolstoy said that. He goes, truth is better. True story is much more fascinating than fiction. Truth is so cool, so wonderful. You know, the moon outside, we have full moon. What do you have out there? Are you full moon? These are
uh,
these are these are miracles. We are miracle. We are already magic. Nature is already so wondrous, you know.
Yeah. So if people want to get coaching from you or want to you to be a speaker or anything like that, where can they find you?
Oh, you just type in Alkistis and you'll find me.
I'll put your
Okay.
website in the description. And
Net is the website. The book is Fear to Freedom, From Fear to Freedom,
mhm.
and website. And yeah, you can't.
Okay. I'll put your book and the website in the description on YouTube, Facebook, and podcasting platforms. Thank you
You,
so much for being on the podcast.
I thoroughly enjoyed it. I could go on all night.
And thank you, everybody, for watching or listening. Thank you very much.
Thank you, our dear friends, for putting up with our wonderful conversation here. We enjoyed it. We hope you did too.
Thank you.